I don't know it as extensively as Stretch does at all, because I'm not I'm not emotionally damaged or whatever led him down this path. Not in that way. He had to feel something. Something in his brain needed filling, and that's what he filled it with. So God bless you for finding it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your Futures Editor.
Andrew Otten, Editor-in-Chief.
Rutledge Doggett, Site Founder.
Andrew Stretch, the Jesus Editor.
Oh.
Jesus.
What?
What? Because I was dead last week, and now this weekend is Easter Sunday. This is the perfect time for me to rise again.
Right, of course, yeah.
That's some fucking hubris saying you're Jesus.
I always think about Easter. That's on the forefront of my mind.
That's what we're starting with?
Yeah, and I'm glad Easter was yesterday.
As of this coming out, yeah.
As of this coming out, yeah.
Well, otherwise, I'd still be in a rock tomb somewhere,
true.
guys. Come on.
He would still be dead where he belongs.
Man, you really thought a lot about this, and now I need to think about the fact that you thought a lot about this.
Oh, God.
In this week's episode, we're going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie. But first, let's get into some news. Hasbro, which owns Dungeons & Dragons, but does not own D&D Beyond, will soon own D&D Beyond now.
Yes.
After a deal of $146.3 million paid entirely in cash, they're going to finally have D&D Online, essentially. D&D Beyond.
I think it wasn't actually in cash. It was just in sacks of precious gems and platinum pieces.
That makes sense. Yeah. I'll be honest. I didn't know Hasbro didn't own this.
It's a very easy thing to not notice.
Yeah.
When all of the branding is in the selling and the digital marketing of licensed content.
Mm-hmm. What's even wilder to me is I didn't know Fandom owned it before this deal. That just didn't. Yeah. That connection was just not a thing I made in my mind.
I mean, they did a good job of hiding it. If you went to a D&D Beyond page, like they had Fandom mentioned at the bottom, but it's not like any of the other Fandom pages that you go to that have the logo plastered everywhere.
Presented to you by Fandom.
Yeah, it's almost like they were kind of trying to hide it, but they don't need to do that anymore because it's now officially all together. I'm a huge proponent of D&D Beyond. Big fan. Use it for my own games. Share my content with my DM. Buy all of my books on there. This is going to be such a cool deal. They've already got so much that was already in their roadmap. Like D&D Beyond have been talking about like full virtual tabletop stuff for years at this point. Hopefully this will give a big push. And as someone who also enjoys like physically owning the books to have at the table, even though I run everything digitally, I'm really hoping that this means that the physical books start coming with like digital codes. The same way that you can like buy Blu-ray DVDs nowadays that are like, oh, here's the Blu-ray, but also put this into your DVD Anywhere account or Movies Anywhere account. And
doing that. You want you to buy it twice.
Well, no, I could see Wizards doing that because with certain Magic the Gathering,
famously charitable. Yes.
Well, there was certain Magic the Gathering stuff. Like if you buy it, it comes with some codes to like get the same deck on Magic Arena. Or like get some free boosters on it.
Or like Pokemon cards that do that already.
Yeah.
Because
I would be very surprised.
There were specific editions that you could purchase of the D&D's Essential Box, which is like a box that came with the Minds of Phandelver, a DM screen, a couple of pre-written character sheets, a set of dice, and like, everything that you need to get started with the basic rules for a level 1 through 5 game. I know that there were or still are editions of that you can purchase through D&D Beyond, that you do get the physical version of all of that, but it also comes with codes for the store content.
Mm.
So it's definitely not unprecedented.
No,
We
I'd
also
just
know
be
that-
surprised with like a lot of other companies with the rule books. They don't do that, so it just seems to be more of a
Oh
thing
yeah,
in the
I mean,
industry.
at the moment, I'm already double dipping on most of them.
I'm sure.
Yeah, you're knee deep in this.
Yeah, I have a problem, especially
you?
with the rate that they've been publishing books nowadays. It's like every single 2 months you get another full adventure or source book. And it's like, well, you're already a year and a half into your current campaign. Good luck using any of this content for another year and a half. Like, you almost like start hoping that your current campaign is going to explode so that you can start a new one with like new content, new classes, new subclasses, new race options.
I mean, if you're the DM, just be like, and
Just
three
kill 'em
dragons. 3 dragons show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, you'll be very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll
That's
like
when
you
you
a lot.
start. That's when you start selling your DMing and guarantee that everyone will make it at least 4 games, and then just wipe out everyone's like, oh, that's so weird. You're leaving the tavern in the starting town, and a stray archlich just walks by, doesn't like the style of jacket you're wearing, and obliterates you. How weird is that?
Very
Oh, and by the
Everyone
way, I have
roll
a
up
whole
new
new
characters.
campaign prepared.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, guys. I got something already for you. Yeah, I don't know. So, do you think that that roadmap though that's gonna change? Because they're gonna have their own ideas now once they own it, what they want to do with it.
Yeah. They've said that Wizards and D&D Beyond will share later this year. Like, what is this partnership?
So I wonder if some
mean?
of that stuff's in jeopardy, in a way.
Well, that's also, they said, we'll share later this year. But since then, Wizards of the Coast have announced a very first ever Dungeons and Dragons Direct that's happening next week. It is the April 21st. So I have a feeling that sharing later this year may even be sharing in 3 days.
Yeah, maybe. I hope so, because it's obviously they wanted an idea like this, but they're like, oh, someone, a third party is doing it, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Just buy them. So they must have their own ideas. So that's why I wonder if some of that gets changed, or just like, no, we don't want to do that, or whatever.
Where they might, reschedule priorities.
Well, because I'll be honest, I've used D&D Beyond a little bit before, and I remember just when I was tinkering around and playing with the UI, the experience felt so integrated into what D&D could be that it did truly feel like this was already owned by Wizards. This was already owned by Hasbro, right? It just felt like the link was there. So now I'm just like, okay, well, now the cuffs are off. What the fuck else can they do that would really bring this in?
There's as a resource, it's fantastic. One of the really cool features that they have added that I use practically weekly is that they have a full-on encounter builder as well that will track the characters of the campaign you're currently running and their levels. As you add monsters in, it will calculate the difficulty. But then if you bring up the screen to ask the characters to roll initiative, and you can auto roll initiative for the monsters, if the players on their D&D Beyond app or device on their phone hit the roll initiative button, that all just gets automatically added in.
Ooh,
There's
nice.
so much that D&D Beyond does that just makes everything easy. Definitely not I know that I'm a more high tech, I've got a 3D printer for minis, kind of I'm a more involved player and DM, and a lot of people prefer on the traditional pen and paper, and I'm definitely not knocking that. But the ability to have all of that just taken care of, being able to focus on the game more and picking monsters' next moves, because I don't need to worry about where players' healths are, where enemy health is, what initiative count we're on. But the biggest issue is that you can only add those monsters, you can only view that content if you have it purchased in this source. If you need the digital version to look at the monsters, to look at the content, to build a character, to yada yada yada.
Right. It's a pretty big investment.
Yeah. So for people who have 5th edition came out 2014. I think. So even if you're hopping on like a year, 2 years, and now that they're ramping up production and each new book is like $30, even if like you've got a couple of books, you know, repurchasing the player's handbook, the dungeon master guide, the monster manual to get like the basics in there, that's already gonna, you know, be $90, probably 80, 75 maybe. I don't know. They bundle some stuff.
Right.
So just if they were able to remove that barrier of entry and be like, yo, you bought that new book, brand new, and it's like, you know, you got the nice alt art cover that's only available in a game shop. If there was just a code so that you could add it, even if you couldn't like add the content of the adventure, but the monsters, the magic items, the subclasses, subraces, like the character buildery stuff, or like the monsters to put into the monster build, even that would be just a huge benefit. Because I think you can buy most of the books piecemeal anyway.
Right.
You know, don't want to spend $30 on a book. You just want that one race. Pay $2. You now have access to that race. That would severely lower the barrier of entry, get more people onto D&D Beyond, and then they also sell dumb shit like digital dice and subscriptions. That would just be exactly. It is
The idea of digital dice is so stupid.
Dude, I own so many digital dice.
Oh my! Is that like
are
an
they
NFT?
NFTs? Yeah, are they NFTs?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, they're not NFTs.
Not yet.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
I think like what I find really cool about D&D Beyond, especially like with this new partnership, right, is that I feel like this is something that could really only happen now because D&D has had like such a resurgence, especially with like all of these podcasts. Like, I mean, look at Matt Mercer and Critical Role, right? Like, or the other ones that are out there like Dungeons and Daddies and the Adventure Zone, right? Like D&D is hot now, right? And it only makes sense, like this is another way to clear a barrier of entry. So you could just tell your friends like, hey, do you want to hop on D&D Beyond? We can like do a quick session or two, you know, we can see what it feels like, maybe dip our toes in before committing to like a 1.5 year long campaign. And it's like never been easier to do that.
Yeah. I've got 17 pairs of digital dice. No, yeah, the barrier to entry is so low, and especially for new players as well. I've gotten, over the past 2 years, I've gotten 5 or 6 of my friends into it, just because like you can roll up the character sheet and it's like, oh, you want to swing with that sword? You click on the app where it says like +7 to attack, and then a digital die rolls out, and then that calculates everything with the advantage and says to hit 22. And it's like it takes that math out that might be a bit confusing for new players.
Dumbing down this generation is what I think.
Pretty much, yeah. And
fucking idiots.
We also know that 5.5 edition or 6th edition is on its way in 2023 or 2024. But Wizards of the Coast has been very vocal that they're trying to make sure that everything is forward and backwards compatible. So, you know, knowing that they've now purchased a D&D Beyond, my guess is that means that, you know, not only will the 5th edition stuff be supported, but they'll know what is in that pipeline, what is coming for 5.5 and for 6, so that they can make sure that their tools are ready day one. You know, imagine if like Wizards just shadow dropped a new edition of Dungeons and Dragons, and D&D Beyond could just be like, yo, and here's some beginner rules for free on our website. Go sign up.
Yeah.
Huge.
And then all you need to do is download D&D Beyond or just go to the website and bam, there you go. You can play right there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like at some point this is eventually just going to reverse engineer like Baldur's Gate 3. Like that's kind of what's going to happen, which I'm not angry about at all because like I'm so looking forward to that game too. In other news, we have to interrupt this broadcast with an ad because just like Xbox, I guess there are reports saying that Xbox free-to-play games may or may not start incorporating ads in them. This is according to a report from Business Insider. Microsoft has not commented on this after Business Insider reached out to them, but the idea is any free-to-play games on Xbox could start incorporating native ads. An example being like you're playing a racing game and one of the billboards in the game shows off something.
Which already exists for the most part. I mean, we've seen it in what, like FIFA, NBA. A lot of sports games have had it. Racing games. It's kind of it's a natural progression for the most part in terms of, hey, this is a part of this type of game anyway. Arenas have ads, stuff like that. It kind of makes sense. The one question is how they'd work. Like, in my mind, like, is it like buying ad inventory on TechRaptor where there is a server in the back end that is running those ads? Or is it like, okay, Coca-Cola owns this billboard for the entire life of the game?
Right.
So I'd be curious to see what that looks like.
I mean, I'm going to assume if it's a free-to-play game, they're probably going to be very online games, right?
Yep.
So
maybe it's probably the first one.
Yeah, so it's probably less like they own, like Coke owns that ad forever, but more like this month it's this guy. But...
Or Monster Energy Drinks owns that advertisement.
Yes. Something like it's gonna be like, oh, this movie's coming out, and here's a thing with an ad with that movie on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think my question here is like, so they say it's only for free-to-play games, right? And they will not do it in premium games. Yeah. So what does that mean for something like Halo Infinite, where its multiplayer is technically free to play, right? Like that's not even, Game Pass quote unquote free. Like that's straight up free to play. But then Halo Infinite campaign is not free to play. Right?
I think it would have to fit the game. I think trying to put it in something like Halo would look gaudy. It wouldn't look good. But
it's just in loading
for some games, like I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of alternative monetization that might allow developers to kind of take a step back on microtransactions or make them more cost effective for players.
This isn't
but I would be curious. Well, yeah, I mean, say a game has microtransactions, it also has ads. Will the microtransactions be cheaper because of the ads?
No.
Or are I mean,
no, it's just adding money. We're not going to be like, oh, we're making money over here. We're going to try to not make as much money over here now. No, not happening.
I mean, like at the very least, I'm glad this isn't like if they try to implement it in something like Forza, not that they will, but like, for example, if they did before this race, watch this 5-second ad, like that would suck. Right.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned sports games before, like the NBA 2K games got a lot. They get a lot of shit because they do that. They do the ads and you have to watch stuff between a game or loading into something. They'll have some BS advertisement or commercial. And that's a $70 game now. Yeah. And they do that shit.
With a fuck ton of microtransactions.
With an insane amount. It's like one of the worst.
Yeah.
That's a weird case as well. That's like so up in your face. I mean,
that one's definitely the total up, like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I don't see... I mean, that's kind of where I could see this going. The more people become acceptable of these kind of things and don't make a stink of it, the more they're going to be like, all right, let's try this now. I mean, because they're just leaving money on the table for themselves, and at the end of the day, they're a business. And everybody's like, but Microsoft's so nice. It's like, man, you guys don't know fucking history. Then, not so much.
What's that, horse armor DLC?
Yeah. So...
And I think something else to consider, too, right, is like, this is getting a little pedantic, right? And I'm sure Don
That's
in
what we
our
live
Slack
for.
I know Don in our Slack is about to get on us about this. So free to play, technically, right? Like if we're being very technical, anything on Xbox Game Pass is not free to play.
Correct.
However, there's a lot about it where it feels free if you already are subscribing. Okay.
Freeny weenie. Is the
Freeny weenie. Yeah, that's our internal term
TechRaptor
for
approved internal term for the free air quote games.
A lot of roguey wogies on there.
A lot of roguey wogies.
But so my point being, right? Like there's a lot of games that are technically premium but feel free to play if you are an Xbox Game Pass subscriber. Xbox. So a game like Forza Horizon 5 could so easily implement native ads, like just add some billboards in the game or something that are probably indestructible, because I doubt Coke would want you to just destroy their billboard with a Ford F-150.
Maybe they would. Someone's posted a highlight on social media. Look at how I fucked up this thing.
Yeah, it is pretty American, right?
You've got to purchase the Is Pepsi Okay DLC first.
but yeah, so it's like, would they start implementing it in games that feel free to play, if that makes sense?
I don't see why not. Like, if it's money that's being left there, and they can make an argument of like, well, it doesn't really affect the player experience that much.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to win that argument someday because they're going to be like, look at the potential money on the table. Like,
yeah,
I just don't see.
Regardless, it's going to be a slippery slope that will probably slide towards the manufacturer or publisher more than it will ever towards the consumer.
Yeah.
I mean, already famously, the Xbox dashboard is like 60% ads. It might be ads for other Xbox related services, but it's still advertisements. There's no way
they're
around
just
it.
creeping into everything. Like I have a very expensive TV. It's got little ads on the menus and stuff around. Like, it's just going to be that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how this goes, like, moving forward, right? Because I mean, like, off the top of my head, I can't say I can think of a truly free-to-play game on Xbox that's like an Xbox exclusive.
That's what I was also thinking. It's like,
Right.
does this also mean that Xbox is planning to ramp up their free-to-play plan, or?
Because I mean, like, you have your multi-platforms, right? Like Apex Legends and stuff, but like
Fortnite,
yeah,
now without building.
Hell yes.
Well, I guess Halo is really the only one that has a true like free-to-play multiplayer. I don't need Game Pass or nothing for it.
Or I wonder
And
if
it's
this will.
Xbox.
I wonder if this will mean that they're, considering then if they do have Forza Horizon 12 come out, if they have some kind of a free-to-play level where it gives you like some
Game
open
Pass
world
version has
and
no
online
ads.
races, but has specific advertisement billboards that then the Game Pass version that you play doesn't have those billboards, and you have full progression, and same with the full purchase. It might be that this allows them to add some certain tier between free-to-play and freenie-weenie.
I mean, it's an interesting thing to think through, too, that if they open up some games to a much wider audience by it being free, the potential for them to earn revenue through the ads, depending on playtime, like average playtime, if you think about how many ads somebody could potentially see, there's potential there, but there's also potential to be abused, right?
I could 100% see Microsoft backtrack and release a free-to-play edition of Crackdown 3. I think if there's somewhere that you could
scrambling
really,
for that.
yeah,
Lots of people just waiting.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they already process all the destruction in the cloud. Just let the cloud also disseminate more ads.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, even just like thinking of like upcoming known Xbox titles, it's difficult to think of
it's hard to see which ones it applies to.
What would work in a free-to-play environment. Well, all of them would work in free-to-play. I mean, people enjoy free games.
Fable Legends.
Maybe this spells doom for like
that hurts. That hurts
for Starfall and Elder Scrolls 6. Starfield. What the hell's Starfall from? I don't even know.
I don't know.
From something?
Are you thinking Skyfall?
Maybe I'm thinking
like
Skyfall.
the 007?
Yeah, we need a James Bond game. Let's stop talking about Game Pass.
There's going to be a James Bond game, right?
Talk about Daniel Craig. That's right. There is. No, where is there?
IO Interactive, yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. The
That's
Hitman.
gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many games coming out. So many
talk about
games
that
that we
instead.
know about that are coming out.
James Bond by way of Hitman.
Yeah.
Who's going to play James Bond?
Mm-hmm.
They just re-release Hitman 3, and every time that they would say Agent 47, there's just like some really shitty ADR that's just 007.
Agent 007.
Yeah. Or they don't re-record anything. They just play the 7 part of the recording.
Agent 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other news, this is something that I remember.
Boy, here we go.
Oh, get excited! This was announced, I think, the Sunday before our last episode.
Yeah, right before.
Right, and because of recording schedules and the darkness in our hearts, we couldn't catch it in time. But Sora's back, baby.
Oh my god.
He's in Tokyo, not Tokyo. He's in not Tokyo.
He's in Data's bullshit.
He's in Quadratum.
He's in Quadratum.
Quadratum, which looks just like Tokyo.
Which is the fake world.
Stretch,
Right.
you have the next 20 minutes to explain how we ended up there.
Oh no.
He's also wearing and explain how he's wearing normal shoes.
Normal shoes. He has a pretty boy haircut now.
They gave him the full like Final Fantasy 15 pretty boy treatment.
Mm-hmm.
He's
He looks like he should be
transitioning
hanging out with Noctis and the crew.
From a Disney
which is
character
ironic.
to a Final Fantasy character. He's in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
but they have talked about that, and that's just his look in Quadratum,
That's what I
Which-
was wondering too.
Okay.
which explains that it's it's the same way that when he goes to Nightmare Before Christmas, he gets the horror look. When he goes to
Yeah.
Atlantis, he gets the tail. But my question is then, what do Donald and Goofy look like in Quadratum?
They never go there. This is what the inside of Sora's heart looks like, or some bullshit.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I want to see Mickey in this world. You know what I mean? Like,
He's just gonna look like himself because he's so fucking all powerful that he can go anywhere.
Is it going
What
to be
if
the
he-
same version or like those just absolute nightmare creatures that you've seen on the internet of like realistic
He's gonna
Disney
look like
characters?
he's gonna
a
look
real
like the
rat.
first draft of Sonic the Hedgehog,
meow.
teeth and all.
Oh god.
Yeah, I'm scared, but also very intrigued by whatever the hell this is. And something too about the city, it gave me very Mario and Donk City energy of like there's Sora and then there's the rest of the real humans fleeing for their life, and then it's Sora.
It's really weird to see him next to a hyper realistic car. That's just like that's just a real car. Like
Yeah, it's like seeing Mario next to like real people in Donk.
I did not expect to hear about this soon. This
Same.
kind of surprised me.
Well,
It was a very surprise announcement that morning.
We also heard about Kingdom Hearts 3 7 years before it came out or something.
I was going to mention that we saw, not just heard about it, but they showed a gameplay clip of it in action, and then that was 7 years later.
They showed it in Unreal 4, and we know that the game is going to be in Unreal 5, so it's already very early on. So we can get excited for it, but this is going to be the new carrot wearing mouse ears that are going to be dangled in front of the Kingdom Hearts community.
It's Square Enix. How long did they talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake before we saw it? Before we played it?
Yeah.
Years and years. This is just classic them.
Consider too that the announcement for this was preceded by not one but two mobile games.
So the mobile games thing was weird as well, because both Union Cross and that mobile game has gone through like 4 different names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was Union Cross and Dark Road, but both of them have been sunsetted. So Dark Road is finishing out at the end of this year, and that's going to be the story of young Xehanort and Arrakis and, all of that stuff that turns him to the dark side originally. So, that was a bit of a weird trailer to give. The second trailer, that was weirder. It was an odd mix of like a endless runner / open world game that then every single time they showed combat, it was suddenly horizontal and like looked much nicer. And that's in Link?
Missing Link. Right?
Missing Link.
Because it's the missing link between some things.
Once you play this, everything will make sense.
I doubt that.
Everything.
That's going too far.
Well,
If anything, it'll get more confusing.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest thing, is that now that they're diving into Kingdom Hearts 4, this is where I'm about to go all red twine, and now that they're diving into Kingdom Hearts 4, that as it relates to the Master of Masters, the apprentices, and all of those characters, with which we have now learnt that Roxas is one of them, and Roxas was there in the past in Daybreak Town and got pulled forward to where he is in the present, where we first meet him in Birth by Sleep. But then they have characters like Strelitzia show up in the trailer, who we've only seen in Union Cross, in that mobile game. And in that mobile game, she died. She was the sister of the character who ends up becoming Marluxia. Don't quote me on that.
Hey, listeners at home, I wish you could see the rest of our faces right now.
I play a lot of them, but everything
now they've got
right now is horseshit, isn't it? You're making this up.
Now they've got the problem of how are they going to take what is not 3 years, but how are they going to take what is so many years of a mobile game that got rebooted twice, but it got canonically rebooted? Like, there is an in-universe reason for why it was rebooted.
I'm sure there is.
Because they went to the first Keyblade Wars, and then they got saved from the first Keyblade Wars when they got hopped to a different world line, which is a different timeline where the Keyblade Wars was successfully avoided. So they've got all of this. They've got multiple timelines. They've got parallel universes. They've got characters who have died and come back. Characters who got sent forward. Maleficent got sent back in time. So the Maleficent that's in the mobile game is actually the one like after Kingdom Hearts 2. How are they going to take all of this and somehow try to explain it before Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out?
They're not. They're just not going to.
No, they will in 4 spin-off games before we see Kingdom Hearts 4. Like, we're gonna get probably a Switch game. We're gonna get another mobile game. Maybe Stadia. Maybe Stadia comes back for this one.
I really think that probably the most open shut way that they're going to be able to do it would be to do another movie. Which the first movie explained nothing.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, I watched that and I was like, I learned like fuck all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would need to actually base the movie on story events and not on 5 characters that we don't get to see until the post-credit secret scene of Kingdom Hearts 3.
That's what I was like, wait a minute, I remember this.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's the first, and now seemingly they are what this next leg of Kingdom Hearts is going to be about? Kingdom Hearts 4?
Yeah.
Right? This is what they're introducing?
They gave it a name as well, like the Master Arc.
Oh, the next arc. Yeah.
The something arc.
So it's just gonna get weirder because now this is like the people that these characters are like somehow related to people that we know, but they're also new and they're kind of like fundamental to how this universe fucking works. So shit's just gonna get weirder.
And there's also strange stuff that they've brought up that like Quadratum is to Sora a fake world. The idea is that he has now left real worlds and he has now gone past death into fake worlds. But the residents of Quadratum think that the worlds that he comes from are fictional. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sora walks past a VHS of Toy Story and goes, "Oh, Woody, that's my friend."
What if we just cut to at some point a real video of Haley Joel Osment in a psych ward? This is all just him.
No, my friends.
He's just insane.
I think that makes sense though, because if Sora existed in this world, we would all think you came from Toy Story, that fictional show. But he would be like, no, that's my real shit. This here, your Starbucks and all that garbage, fake.
This is fake.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. That's
Dude, I cannot wait. This is gonna be.
It's always stupid. I hope it's better than 3. Some stuff with 3 is like, man, I loved it, but
the Rivendell world sucked in 3.
We're going to Lord of the Rings.
No, that's Arendelle.
Arendelle.
No. What's Frozen?
I don't care.
Yeah.
The Frozen world sucked.
I know what you're talking about.
It was real bad.
They stopped the whole 3 minutes to have us watch Let It Go, and they're just like, wow.
With Sora, Donald, and Goofy there.
Yeah, it would cut to them every once in a while.
It was a better version, let's be honest.
Yeah,
it actually, I was actually pretty impressed because I was like, damn, like that kind of looks like the movie. Because I'm thinking graphically, like where we're getting with it, it's like you're almost running around. It's kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Anton, you've coined the tagline for Kingdom Hearts. It's just gonna get weirder from here. Yeah. I feel like that's consistently every game you can say that.
A little bit. I mean, but like this is. I think this is going to drift away from a lot more of what people become familiar with. based on the. I don't know it as extensively as Stretch does at all, because I'm not. I'm not emotionally damaged, or whatever led him down this path. Not in that way. He had to feel something. Something in his brain needed filling, and that's what he filled it with. So God bless you for finding it, but it's just there's so much weird stuff that can go from here. Like these people are like the Master Mashers and all this stuff is so fucking long ago that it affects so much that they can get real deep with this lore stuff and not have to touch hardly anything. Like Xehanort, they don't even have to say his name anymore. Like he's old news. There's all kinds of stuff. All these people that people have been getting familiar with, we don't really care about them anymore. I
just fact-checked myself. I totally got that right.
I believe it.
Strelitzia is the younger sister of who becomes Marluxia.
Oh my god.
That just sounded like gibberish.
Well, Marluxia's real name is Laurium, but once Laurium became a nobody, they needed to put an X in their name somewhere and make it an anagram.
Yes. It's fantastic. See, this is what's so great. This is why Nomura needs to make all games.
Well, so here's the real thing, because we haven't even started thinking about what Disney is going to bring to the table.
Oh, well, I'm ready.
We know that Star Wars is coming.
There's going to be some Star Wars BS.
Well, we saw the foot of an AT-ST.
Supposedly, it looked like it.
It looks exactly like
we might be going to Endor.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got Neo Twiwi in there, because it is, for all intents and purposes, Shibuya.
Are we going to get any Babylon's Fall?
Oh, you're saying, what if Persona is in it? What if we go to Persona?
Well, that's a different company, but sure, why
not?
not?
Square Enix.
I'm sorry, Smash Bros. Everything's on the fucking table.
That's right, everything's on the table here.
We're gonna go to Metal Gear Solid and do some shit with Snake.
I can't wait for Green Hill Zone.
It's good. Yeah, we're going everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Smash Bros. Has opened the world to us.
Dude, if Mario shows up from a keyhole in this game,
I will freak out.
Oh
my god!
What if Smash Bros. Was the deep lore?
He's got his own Keyblade. Fuck yeah!
And he's voiced by Chris Pratt.
If any of that happens, Twitter just shuts down for the day.
I will go nuts. It would be the greatest game of all time. I don't care about anything else in it. If Mario's running around with the Keyblade with me and we're fucking whacking Goombas and shit, I'm in.
Do you think we're going to see Marvel in this?
All right, let me pitch my Marvel.
Okay, you do.
Here we go.
Here's what I would really love to see so much. We're not going to, but I'd really love it to be about Captain America: The First Avenger.
Okay.
And we're going around fighting Nazis with Donald and Goofy. Think of how amazing it would be to have Donald and Goofy say Nazi.
Yeah.
And then have him shoot fire like Faraga, fucking that Nazi over there. Donald's already got a history with the Nazis. There's all those old propaganda films that Disney made during World War II.
I'm sure they'd want to dig that up out of the vault.
Of Donald Duck as fucking Hitler. So, I'm just saying, maybe they right some wrongs here and have him get some.
My counterpoint to going with First Avenger would be Thanos as a super boss. You've got Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel, whatever. Let's get Thanos out.
Also, I just want to share that leading up to the podcast, all we heard from Otten was that during Kingdom Hearts 4, he wanted to talk about Nazis. We had no idea what direction that was going to go.
But
now it makes sense.
Maybe you had no idea where that was going to go.
Pretty obvious.
I thought it was going to be a First Order thing. Because Star Wars also tries to get pretty...
I'm talking literal Nazis here.
Yeah.
I want them to go fight
hypothetical sci-fi Nazis.
Oh, yeah, I want them to go straight up to them. And think how amazing that'd be.
That would be pretty good. I mean, they could go anywhere with the MCU, really. What I want to see is multiverse, where you get Chris Pratt Star-Lord and also the totally not Troy Baker Star-Lord from the video game.
Yeah,
both appear.
Having those versions of the Guardians would be so great to run into.
And we know that Olympus Coliseum is going to be part of it because Hades is in the trailer, and also
it's always in it.
Quadratum is a weird extra underworld thing. If they didn't have that, I reckon Sakaar would probably be a good sub for a Coliseum setting. But no, I
Jeff
think
Goldblum. Oh my God, does that mean Jeff Goldblum could be in a Kingdom Hearts game?
Oh yes.
Oh, thank God.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm here
had
for it. I'm here
Mark
for it.
Hamill, Leonard Nimoy, Haley Joel
Dude,
Osment,
What if
Jesse McCartney, all the big names.
you think they're gonna have James Woods still be Hades?
Probably.
Oh God.
Well, I'm actually. Did he do it in the
He did
original
it for
games?
Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah, he's always been Hades. He's
Oh.
always done it.
Okay, well, because I know, like, with Woody, they got like Tom Hanks' brother instead of
Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Well, yeah, because he's not gonna.
That's
do it.
because Tom Hanks' brother's job is to be Tom Hanks.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the extra stuff he does, all Woody's voice.
Right, or like, Johnny Depp didn't do the Johnny Depp character.
No, but
That's true. We can forget about that though. That was pretty bad.
but what if they treat the MCU stuff like they did with Final Fantasy, where there's just these broken worlds and these characters are lost, so we could just run into anybody, not necessarily their world. And what if this? So like what if there's a moment where it sounds so fucking stupid and nerdy, but have Thanos and Sephiroth, they meet one another and they're like having to
they
size
do
each
like
other
that
up.
bro handshake meme.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
I mean, imagine Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, and in the Infinity Gauntlet is Sephiroth's long sword.
Now that we have expanded Final Fantasy VII lore, where Zack doesn't die, and
Yeah, that's
they're
right.
they're
Things
skipping
different.
world lines there as well. Maybe we'll get like new Sephiroth that
What if
like is
Sephiroth-
aware of where he's failed in the past.
Could be. What if he cuts Thanos' arm off and wears the Infinity Gauntlet himself?
Oh, there you go. Now, here's a question. Well, while we're just in this fucking rabbit hole, what's stronger, the reality gem or Sora's weird ability to go inside people's hearts?
How could you ask that?
Well, because it would definitely be Sora.
Yeah.
Because the reality gem, you die, you're fucking dead. Sora can come back to life, and Sora can
Sora's
possess
fucking
people
immortal.
remotely. Because we've seen
That's
him
the
do that
thing.
in Melody of Memories.
All these nerds are like, who would win, Superman versus whoever? And if anybody put up against Sora, Sora wins every time.
It's true. Because he
'Cause
just
he's got
unlocks
He's so
darkness.
powerful.
Friendship.
That's right, the power of friendship, man. He's in.
God, I just want to see Donald Zeta Flare Thanos or something.
That'd be
I want
great.
to see that.
Will we finally hear Sora say, "I see dead people"?
Oh my gosh.
Dude, Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be so awful, but great.
It's
Oh,
not
I
going to
can't
be
wait.
as wacky
Inject
as
it into my
anybody
veins.
wants it to be, is what's sad.
No.
I wish they would just go full on Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise.
What do you mean won't be as wacky? We've got stills of Sora fighting Darkseid outside
there's
Shibuya.
that kind of stuff, but there's not going to be like it's still going to be like, okay, we're going to this Disney World where we're playing through
Did
a
you-
storyline.
You guys probably didn't see it, but I saw it on the Kingdom Hearts subreddit. Someone pointed out that where they had that 20th anniversary Kingdom Hearts event is actually around about where Darkseid's left wing is in that trailer.
Oh my god, that's does not surprise me in the
Yeah.
least.
Same.
And Nomura's just sitting there all smug, like, heh, look what I did.
Big brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll find AR glasses under your seat.
Oh man. I don't know.
I mean, if I'm being honest, like what I genuinely want out of this game that I know we're not going to get is no Disney garbage, and I just want Nomura to be unhinged and tell us his Kingdom Hearts story.
He's been unhinged for years.
Yeah, but I want like no limiters, no Disney, just like, because Kingdom Hearts 3, like, no spoilers, but the first like hour and the last 6 hours are all that matter. Everything in between,
kind of true.
Everything in between is just the Frozen movie and Monsters Inc. and
Yeah.
etc. Right? And I mean, some of it's original, some of it isn't, but none of it is relevant. I want Kingdom Hearts
There's
4.
all kinds of life lessons along the way.
No. So Kingdom Hearts 4, I want that to be 40 hours of basically the
I'm
last
in.
6 hours of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Did you guys
yeah.
also see that Nomura publicly stated like he was thinking he was tossing up in his mind whether he would develop Verum Rex, which is the in-universe video game from the Toy
I
Story
wondered
3
about that.
world, whether he'd develop Verum Rex first or Kingdom Hearts 4. and he decided that he should probably go with Kingdom Hearts 4 first for the fans.
Good choice.
But that means that it isn't just, some weird trailer that happens and it's like, wow, this is really a Final Fantasy game without calling it a Final Fantasy game. But the fact that there's probably design documents and design briefs of like, this is the game that is the real game for what Rex, the talking plastic T-Rex from Toy Story, was playing.
How great is that? The fact that that's a sentence that's true is just... This is why people that are like, oh, I'm tired of Nomura, his stuff is dumb. You guys are just wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Open your mind to the ability of the bullshittery.
It's so fucking dumb. Like...
I love it so much.
So great.
Like, I think his brand is so powerful that we're like a month out from Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin being released, and I still think about that game. I haven't even played the real game. I've just played the demo.
So
and I still think about it.
I think about killing chaos all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that scene that was going around YouTube. I guess minor spoilers if you give a shit, but there's just a scene where a bad guy just monologuing and is like, here's my plan, my evil plan, wahaha, and because I am, and then before he can say his name, Jack's like fucking gunning it toward him. He's like, I don't give a fuck who you are, and punches him in the face. And this is in a real video game.
It's so good. Oh, I am with you though. I wish they would just totally lean into the weird shit.
Yeah.
Like give Donald and Goofy, like what if they've been separated and they've got some weird dark past and Goofy's missing an arm now. And like just some fucking wacky, like, oh my god, what happened to Goofy? Like
Kingdom Hearts Goofy episode, The Phantom Pain.
Yeah, some dark shit happened to Goofy.
I got hooked up.
Yeah.
Lost my arm, Sora.
You thought I died in episode 2, but this is some real shit.
And this chapter's called Gorsh. Like, oh, that would be great.
Oh, man. It's Kingdom Hearts 4. I cannot wait to play that in 2029.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
2029.
It'll be on the PS6.
It'll be like a PS6 launch title, maybe. I mean, it'll come out after Final Fantasy VII Remake 2. I feel like it's a good window.
Maybe.
All I'm seeing is question marks in our future, gents.
I don't know. Final Fantasy VII Remake 2, I don't even know if that's going to come out.
Yeah. Who knows? Let's switch over and talk about some games and a movie. Rut, do you want to tell us about this thing called Stacklands?
And how would Sora interact with it as a world?
Yeah, I want every answer to kind of be through that lens now.
Yeah. If it was a Kingdom Hearts world, how would it be structured? Go.
Yeah, I can't do that.
So Stacklands.
Yeah. So this was one that kind of flew under the radar for me. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's essentially a survival game where you're building a city, you're building or collecting resources and stuff like that, but it's all in the vein of a card game, to where you have a limit of cards that you can expand by building additional buildings, but you're essentially trying to just survive until I think it's like 50 days is the end of a at least normal match. There's also, you can do shorter and longer as well, but you start with nothing. You start with a single pack of cards that you open that has like a berry bush, a villager, some wood, and a rock. And then from there you place your villager on top of the berry bush card, which starts generating berries. And you play what is essentially a moon phase. So you play a day, and then you have to feed your villagers, which it automatically feeds them 2 pieces of food. And so you've got to kind of manage your cards throughout as well, to where you get the end of a day. If you have 24 cards out of the 20 limit, you have to sell some of them. And then you can sell cards. So like, okay, I have too much rock. You sell cards to buy more packs that give you different stuff. So
could you also trade that stone for some sheep?
Well,
single player settlers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you can put 3 stones together, and then you put a villager on top of it to create a brick, or 3 wood to create a plank, and then it's like 2 plank, 2 brick, and a villager. You can create a mine, and then the mine is just an endless supply of rock, or a lumber camp is an endless supply of wood. So it's it gets hard like later on trying to manage the number of cards you have to build these larger things that require like 6 cards, which limits you from doing pretty much anything else for that turn. Right. And then randomly throughout it will spawn enemies. So like these dark portals that'll spit out goblins. And if you don't have enough villagers, you get your shit rocked and the game's over. So you've really got to kind of plan forward and make sure that you're not only managing your food, because if you don't have enough food, your villagers die.
So is this a roguey wogie, you would say?
I would call it a roguey wogie card game. Absolutely.
For people that don't know,
we should explain it probably.
That's a roguelite or roguelike. They're interchangeable. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah, we've given up calling things either a roguelike or a roguelite. It's just easier to call it a roguey.
They're all roguey wogies now.
They're all roguey wogies to me.
It's pretty crazy that you can kind of make a deck builder out of fucking anything now. You can apply that to any genre, can't you?
Yeah. Well, and we're starting to see like card builder golf games and shit too.
It's weird.
It's crazy.
So I mean,
this game is $5 too.
Yeah.
So it's and it's got kind of a development plan. It's and you can do it in like play a couple turns, close the game, go out, do something else, and come back. So you can kind of piecemeal it. I think I played the other day for like maybe 45 minutes and made it to turn like 25 or something. Because it's all on a timer essentially. So you have a certain amount of time between each moon, and it gets a little bit longer as it goes. Like the early ones are very short because you don't have much to work with. But you kind of have to time things at times too, to where, okay, if I throw this, say, berry bush on soil to create another berry bush, or this berry onto soil to create another berry bush, will it finish before the end of my turn? Or will I end up having to use it as food for my villager? Which just resets it, and then you don't have that berry bush. So there's a lot of interesting mechanics in that as you open packs, you will uncover ideas, and those ideas basically tell you how to build like a market or a warehouse or whatever. And then each pack progressively gets more expensive in coins. And so coins don't count as a card. So if you're like way over, you can just sell everything and then just buy packs on your next turn. So there's like kind of like micro strategies throughout, and it's been super interesting to play. I can see why it was kind of this like sleeper hit. That, you know, when it came to wish lists and stuff like that, it was pretty low, and then it's done progressively well as people have been playing it. So it's just very simple.
Yeah, what's interesting is like all of these strategies sound like mainly card game strategies, right? But then you like think of it through the lens of it's a city builder or a
clever.
Settlement builder.
I'm digging it. I might give it a try.
Yeah, no, I might play that too.
I like the style of it. It's very simple, clean.
That's Stacklands, right?
Stacklands. Yep, it's $5 on Steam right now. So I mean, even from a price perspective, it's worth trying. It's neat and it's unique. So.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of unique, Stretch, you saw a very unique movie in theaters.
I've seen it. The greatest video game movie ever made. Honestly, it might be the best video game movie ever made.
Really?
Yeah. So it's actually quite ironic that Otten started last podcast by proclaiming that I was dead, because I did see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 last week, and then I subsequently caught COVID. So I was all messed up this week. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was a really good movie.
Was it worth it?
No.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
I was in a real bad place earlier this week. No, it was
not worth getting COVID over, is what you're saying.
Definitely not worth getting COVID over.
Really not that good of a movie then.
Well, I I think for most parts, I would, as much of a nerd as I am, I'd still prefer good health over a video game movie.
I mean, yeah, I think many would.
You're one of them new breed of nerd. Here's their hygiene and stuff.
Shower daily. How dare you?
Yeah, you own deodorant.
Only winners use soap.
What else? Do you touch grass? But yeah, tell us about Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a pretty basic premise of, Eggman's back. Eggman tricks Knuckles into thinking that his BFFs with him to fight Sonic. They get a little bit into like the deep lore of the Echidna tribe and the Master Emerald and stuff like that. But it was fun. Jokes mostly landed. For some reason, they had Jim Carrey as Robotnik floss at one point, which like
the Fortnite floss or dental hygiene.
No.
Oh boy,
no, Fortnite floss, which is funny because they had Sonic floss in the first movie.
That's how you know it's for the kids.
And I mean, flossing wasn't really that cool when the first Sonic movie came out. So I'm not sure why they're doing that joke again.
It was him like flossing his teeth. Because I don't know, for some reason, I think Jim Carrey could actually make that very funny.
Oh yeah, with the huge mustache.
That's
right?
what I was
Probably.
picturing.
They do have some close-ups of like mustache maintenance with like Robotnik having like specific droids come and like fine tweak his mustache. As Robotnik, in his like full Robotnik form, bald head, the mustache out, everything I think is fantastic. Which is a real shame that he then immediately announced that he was retiring from acting.
Yeah. Last role.
I don't know how they're going to get him back for the threequel. But that's going to be sad.
Well, there are other villains in the Sonic universe.
Yeah. One of which, I mean,
there are.
How much do we care about spoilers?
Let's say if you care about spoilers, thank you for listening.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, so shadows in the post-credit scene.
Fuck yeah.
After Sonic pretty much kills Eggman.
Oh, wait, hold on, what?
So Eggman gets the Master Emerald, takes it inside of him and transforms into a weird, like, glowing green version of himself. And everything he says from that point on is auto-tuned, which is really funny.
So stupid. Wait, was Nomura involved in this?
Then he uses the powers of the Master Emerald and the Chaos Magic, whatever, to create the big Death Egg robot. Sonic then gets to become Supersonic. Takes like the head off the robot, and it's just like Robotnik left standing on a platform in this robot that stretches like 3 times as tall as any of the nearest trees. That then Sonic just kind of like flicks the robot and it falls back. He does nothing to save Robotnik, and like
he's dead. And
like they have this like slow-mo shot of Robotnik like reaching out as he's like falling, collapsing, whatever. So yeah, I think Sonic just straight up killed.
It's about time we got a hero with some balls.
Well, he can turn into people. A ball, yeah.
And then he uses his almighty, supersonic chaos magic form, and summons himself a chili cheese dog. But so that's like, so the A plot is fantastic. They do a great job with Knuckles. It's kind of weird hearing him as Idris Elba. They have that like really like himbo stupid version of Knuckles, which I think is great. Tails is adorable and fantastic. Sonic continues to do a good job. Then there's the weird B plot
with the humans.
There's the weird human B plot that Donut Lord and his wife go to Hawaii to go to the sister-in-law's wedding. And the sister-in-law is getting wed to a beautiful man. I don't know the actor's name. He's like the main character for Criminal Minds, for most of Criminal Minds. And so, they have like all of like the weird, my sister-in-law fucking hates me joke that they continue on for no reason. That then Donut Lord James Marsden. Marsden, yeah. James Marsden. Yeah. Cyclops.
Yeah.
He accidentally swaps out the wedding ring with one of Sonic's teleport rings. And so he
easy
makes
mistake. Easy mistake.
right. So he makes a complete ass out of himself by having to go up and interrupt the ceremony and not just say like, hey, here's the real ring. Sorry, that's not the ring. He instead goes up, tries to demand the ring with zero context, and then sucker punches the soon-to-be husband.
Nice.
That then Sonic and Tails show up. And then it turns out that this wedding that Sonic wasn't even invited to is actually a sting operation. And absolutely everyone, including the groom, is in deep cover working for GUN, GUN, the government agency.
Right.
All trying to get involved with the family to catch Sonic. It's like, so they're like, he has the sister-in-law that lives in a different state, different city. He has gotten to know her, gotten into a committed relationship, proposed, and is going through with the wedding with this woman to catch the space hedgehog that they don't even invite to the wedding.
Now imagine playing through that as Sora.
But then they have a whole scene where the crazy sister-in-law is crazy, but also like badass. And then they have like a 10-minute like reunion scene where, oh man, it started as a job, but turns out what I found along the way was love. So I would still like to get married to you. And it's like, what is this Hallmark movie rom-com A-plot doing in the middle of the movie about a blue, yellow, and red space animal, like space mammals?
I wasn't gonna
it's
see
wild.
it, but now
Now I kind of really do want to see it.
I recommend it. I highly recommend it. For the good parts are great, and the questionable parts are great for all the wrong reasons.
I have to ask, when Shadow shows up, he has a gun, right? Please? Does he have a gun?
They allude to the Ultimate Life Form project and this and that, and all you really get is like a sweeping shot of him in the vat. And then he like opens his eyes and they glow red, and it's like, ooh.
Why do they always have to show up in the third movie? He's like, he's like Venom and Spider-Man.
He is. He's Sonic's Venom. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the third movie.
But it's weird that like Eggman is such an integral part to Shadow. So for them to be setting up Shadow, and then for their perfectly cast Eggman, to be like, that's it. I'm done.
Well, he
I'm
kind
out
of
of acting.
offhandedly said it. I don't know if he's actually out.
I mean, he pretty much, I think his words were, unless he sees like the perfect golden script that needs to be performed, yada yada. And I just can't imagine that being Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
If he's
it's good to be
it,
Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
He never does sequels, so the fact that he did one is kind of crazy.
That's true as well. I was going through the IMDb trivia, and this is the third movie in Jim Carrey's entire career that he has done a reprise on a role, which is bonkers. It's Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, and Sonic the Hedgehog. Yep. What an eclectic mix of sequels.
Yeah.
God, I feel like that Sonic movie is like living up to all the dumb shit I hoped it would. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
But it's it's good. They get Sonic right. They get Tails right. They have a whole bunch of fantastic callbacks, like Tails in the biplane with Sonic standing on top. They do a great job.
Yeah. And the real reason I wanted to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog on this lovely pod of ours is I remember weeks ago we talked about a Smash Bros movie.
Cinematic
Universe, yes. And I believe the director of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has said, wouldn't it be fucking cool if I made a Smash Bros. Cinematic Universe?
Yeah, how amazing would it have been instead of Shadow in the thing? It would have been like Mario. in the teaser.
Well, and it crosses over with the Illumination Studios, like the Chris Pratt Mario thing.
I mean, yeah, considering as long as they like didn't want to get any of the humans involved, they could totally, pluck an animated Sonic out of a hybrid world
Oh, everybody's into this multiverse stuff, so he can just get sucked through a portal and be somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he canonically has portals.
Yeah, so he could just show up in the Metroid universe. And that'll be the first Metroid game we get in years.
Exactly.
But we still won't have Captain Falcon be part of the cinematic universe. F-Zero can just go over there. No, it was a bonkers movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I am glad that you enjoyed it, and I can't wait for myself to see it as well. And I hope this leaves the door open for Sonic 3. I mean, I imagine so if they're teasing Shadow, right? But,
making a bunch of money.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 made like 70 mil domestic on opening weekend. That's bonkers.
You know what's still sad about this is the movies might do well, and they're like, "Oh, kids are gonna play our games," and they're like, "Oh, these fucking suck."
We don't know that.
I can't wait for this next Team Sonic game. It's like, no, kids, that's not the one you want.
No, hey, that could be good. Open world Sonic could be good.
I'm willing to bet money right now that it will not be.
I'm sorry. Open zone Sonic.
I don't think so.
Yes, it's open zone.
It's a zony wony, please.
It's gonna lean on its, the pedigree of Sonic 06.
Yeah,
it's open worldy bits.
Wait, there's a pedigree to Sonic 06.
There are people out there who like.
Have you not seen our review?
Was that before or after he? Was that before or after he kissed the human girl?
Oh, does Sonic kiss a human girl in the movie?
No, in 06 he does though.
Yeah, he does. But will he in Sonic 3?
Callback.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of all of because. Ironically, Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite of the Sonic video games.
It's pretty good.
So having Shadow show up is like I'm really excited for it, but I'm wondering whether like we're gonna start like see a whole bunch of like will they do like in the 4 years since the last movie all of these other Mobians have shown up and just like have Amy and Big and I don't know how they're gonna do Rouge of the Bat.
They're called
That's gonna be weird.
Yeah, I'm still kind of struggling with that one.
What?
Because
that's what they're known as.
I mean, the planet that Sonic comes from is Mobius.
Like the strip.
I don't know the Sonic lore. I did not know that he came from another planet.
Well, let me recommend you check out the wonderful Twitter feed of Ken Penders.
No, I don't want to know. Really?
Yeah, they come from planet Mobius. Like a Mobius strip.
Really?
Sonic the Hedgehog
based on this.
Mobian.
So is Jared Leto like the king of that?
No,
I know
that's Planet Morbian.
He's a Morbian.
Oh, okay, Morbius.
He's a Morbian.
Okay. Yeah.
I still haven't seen that yet. I don't want to go see that.
I don't want to. No,
that's definitely not worth COVID.
God, oh man, what if they're like, who'd be a great Eggman? Jared Leto.
Jared Leto.
Hey, I mean, it's Jared Leto has now done a really crap DC movie, a really crap Marvel movie. If Ryan Reynolds has told us anything, then Leto's next superhero movie is gonna fucking slap.
If he ever gets cast again. All right, I think that about wraps us up for this week's episode of the TechRaptor Pod. We hope you enjoyed this week's show, and if you did, please feel free to leave a review down below or let us know in the comments either on YouTube or on our site.
Feel free to be extra mean to Rhett.
You sure? I didn't say that, but hey, if you want to, I won't stop you. But let us know what worlds do you hope show up in Kingdom Hearts 4? Do you hope to see an open zone?
Shrek.
From Shrek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shrek.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's like a little wrestling minigame
with Donald and Goofy, like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more from us, you can check out techraptor.net, where we are always posting news, features, reviews, and so on throughout the week. And if you want more of this podcast, we will be back next Monday. We'll see you then.